Bucking the status quo, we gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo, we gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo, we gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo, we gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo, we gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo, we gonna buck the status quo. The foundation leads the fight, the warriors lead the tribe. When the beat drops and the spirits rise, we find the truth behind the disguise. They want us to go away, only our hearts do we obey. The foundation leads the fight, the warriors lead the tribe. When the beat drops and the spirits rise, we find the truth behind the disguise. They want us to go away, only our hearts do we obey. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. Bucking the status quo, we gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo, we gonna buck the status quo.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of our Grunt Foundation Year in Review. We're back again for another installment. I'm Will Wisner, the Executive Director of the Grunt Foundation, and joining me again for this segment is Janae Sergio, our Director of Development and Digital Strategy. Welcome back again, Janae.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be back.
Yes, and for everybody that doesn't know, we are broadcasting here out of St. Louis, Missouri, which is a balmy, 30 degrees or something like that today. And Janae is with us down in San Antonio. How's the weather down there today anyway?
30 degrees as well. We just don't have snow.
Really?
It was 30
Really?
degrees this
30?
morning. I think we've moved up to probably about 60 degrees now. But this morning was
okay.
pretty cold. It
It's
was pretty
different.
cold.
Texas winter. It's a strange thing.
Yeah.
So what we are going to be focusing on this segment of our year in review is our focus on the work of advocacy in the veteran space. So we're going to keep following the same format we did on the last round. We're going to play a clip from our new end of year video that's dropped today. You can find that over at the website or on our social media and our YouTube channel. For the full, it's about 12 minutes. So we're breaking this guy down into bite-sized chunks and focusing on each of the areas that we engage in. And we're going to offer a little behind-the-scenes thoughts and insights and maybe a little storytelling of interesting things that have happened to us along the way in the last year. So, David, we'll go ahead and cue that guy up, man.
I mean, the most important thing going on in all of Grunt Style Foundation and Irreverent Warriors is this week we've got our DC War Cry for Change and mini Silkies hike happening for the overprescription problem in the United States with veterans.
We had three or four events really over the course of 2 days. We held a film screening of the film Medicating Normal the night before at Gallaudet University.
The day we did the press conference, we had a hike to heal with the DC chapter. All these folks march into the beginning of the press conference, and they all had pill bottles. And then we took that bottle and we went and delivered it there to that little crystal skull, which represented a release of this pain.
The next morning, We had a press conference on the U.S. Capitol grounds at the House Triangle.
We are overprescribing these individuals with these psychotropics.
My son, who never did anything by half, took one of his most prized rifles, a World War II M1 Garand.
Hunter died by suicide, and he had just turned 23 2.5 weeks prior.
I immediately replied, son, I love you very much too.
We are dying. 22 a day. We have had 17 veterans send up the Star Cluster for help in protest by taking their lives at a VA facility because we can't be heard.
And that's where I started researching this issue of overprescribing.
I had a doctor 2 months ago try to prescribe me another antidepressant. I said no. I had a horrific withdrawal, year-long withdrawal from my antidepressant. And she looked at me and said, I've never heard of that before. How in the hell is that possible?
Welcome back to Gaslighting the Warfighter. We are honored, my friends, to share the program with Congressman Mike Bost.
When we look at mental health issues with our veterans, we're not winning the game. And the reason we're not winning the game is because you're trying the same old thing over and over again, and here, take a pill, you'll be great.
Now, from your position as the chairman of the National Legislative Committee for the VFW, Mitch, is the VFW engaging in all these issues in these other states, or is it Texas kind of the big battleground?
This issue of alternative modalities to antidepressants and opioids is a national priority for the VFW with Congress.
So there we have it. Busy year. Holy cow, we have been all over the place, burning up the airways, right?
It's been intense, and I get really emotional when I watch that because it kind of takes me back to the day that I was up at the Texas state capitol advocating against the attempt to ban hemp. And I'll never forget that day because I was up there waiting for testimony. I actually waited 18 hours in order to testify. And it was about noon. I got text messages, somewhere around the afternoon, I got text messages that said, hey, Janae, did you know that a veteran may have taken their life at the Autumn Murphy VA? And here I am getting ready to testify and share the importance of these modalities and how the VA is failing our veterans. And at the exact same time, a veteran was taking his life in protest at the VA. And I had opportunity to leave. There was many times where they said, hey, Janae, you can leave. You don't have to stay. We know you have a long drive back home. And I was like, how can I leave when something like this just happened? This just fueled me and really gave me more of a reason to be here. And I kind of brought it up in my testimony, finished that testimony at 2:00 in the morning. And I get back and I find out about the story of MA2 Mark Miller, who was, went into the VA in crisis, was prescribed these SSRIs. And, he sent his dad text messages, Dr. Larry Miller, saying they're murdering our friends. This is a crime. I should call the news. And a week later, he takes a bus, takes his book called Suicide Stalks a Sniper to the VA, steps off the bus and takes his life right there in the front of the VA. His dad has become a good friend of the Grunt Style Foundation. And we were able to, through the Grunt Style Foundation, take his dad and elevate his voice and take him all the way to DC. And that's one of the powerful voices that you see there in that clip. And it just kind of goes all the way back to April 7th. And that day when we were up there testifying against SB3, to us taking one of the fathers up to DC in order to share the story of his son. It's insane. And it just makes me so emotional to think about what drives us and this is real shit, Will. Like, this is real,
Yes, it is. And, it's a long road and it's a hard one sometimes. It's a lot of doom and gloom involved in a lot of the work that is inside the nonprofit industry. But, I look at it, it's an honor to be able to do this. Like Dr. Miller's story about his son, that's a message, that Congress needs to hear. That is a message that, the country needs to hear. And, there's been 17 veterans who've taken their lives at VA facilities, many in protest on these issue of these overprescriptions. And, their treatment they're receiving is worse than the plague that they're dealing with or trying to go to for help. And, that's just unconscionable. It's just not right. This is way too big of a country with way too much wealth, way too many facilities, in every city with the VA. And yet we can't get this right. And, it's almost like the folks that have the power just can't let that go, just can't just take that step that's necessary to correct this. And there needs to be more people telling the stories of Dr. Mark Miller's and all these other cases, the other 16. If it was not for that incredible symposium that Derek Blumke had put together for the War Cry for Change symposium in D.C., that story wouldn't have been told. And so I'm grateful that we have the opportunity through our work to elevate those voices and make that need a reality. Now, as on a more lighter note, Janae, you do an awful lot of appearances and social media stuff and speaking at professional events. You're no stranger to the advocacy arena. Before you came on board our team here with the foundation. So I'm a little curious to find out what the experience of advocacy is like with the foundation as compared to, what you understood it to be before you joined our team.
When I started advocating, I was using my social media and I was just moving from the heart. I didn't have a huge platform. I didn't have some of the opportunities that the Grunt Style Foundation has given me to get in front of the right people, to get this message not only refined properly, but in front of the right people. So I was just out there screaming and yelling at my camera and doing the best I could, right, with what I knew and what I had. And I was moving from the heart. And I was meeting a lot of people along the way. And I will say that one of the things that the change that has happened since I've been with the Grunt Style Foundation, and it's evident across all of my platforms, I have about 700,000 followers across all my platforms. And so there's a lot of people who've been paying attention, is the opportunity to heal and to advocate from a healed space. And so then I come and I'm not just projecting, but I'm actually, able to come from a place that is educated and where I understand what the real issues are, the root causes that we're addressing are, and then also to be able to really move people into that healing space. Before I was just elevating issues and I was trying to highlight them, but I didn't really understand that we were also needing to bring some of these people to healing, including myself. And so that's what the foundation has done for me, is brought me into a healed state of advocacy. As you probably saw a few minutes ago, I got a little bit angry. But for the most part, I'm not screaming at the camera anymore. I'm more focused on, okay, what issues can we work on that there can be an actual resolution to? And what issues are we wanting to elevate that are going to keep us stuck in that victim mindset? I was stuck trying to get justice for people. And in most cases, they weren't going to get justice. I was trying to get justice for me from 25 years ago. And I was never going to get that. And so what the foundation has done for me is helped bring me to healing and help me understand what specific issues we have to work on so that we can prevent these issues or these problems going forward and really help not only veterans now get to healing, but those who are coming into the military not have to experience the things that we've experienced.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier, Janae, it's a long road doing this kind of advocacy work and getting involved, and you just hear all these stories and tragedies that are happening inside of our community, and then feeling that compulsion to have to do something about it as best as what we're able, and that's what we do here. Is everyone in this foundation is a veteran that has walked this walk and has firsthand experience with all these issues that we're trying to raise awareness about. And I think that makes us a little unusual, probably in this line of work, to find like everybody here is kind of, coming from that same place for our own reasons. And so I hope that that authenticity shines through in all the work that we do. And we definitely are wildly insistent on engaging that internal work for all the folks here in our orbit at our foundation, to really try to come at this work from a place of a full cup and as healed as what we can be before we start, trying to step into those darker places and take on, that kind of heaviness that goes along with this stuff. And, there's not enough time in the day. There's not enough days in the calendar. We're just all over the place doing some of these things. We've had an amazing year. We just saw some video from the stuff in D.C. You told your story about the big SB3 fight we had down in Texas, and it doesn't look like that issue has died. It is a zombie. It has arisen from the grave by way of the insertion of an amendment into the continuing resolution that Congress passed here a couple of weeks ago to reopen the government. And looks like the powers that be couldn't win that battle on the hemp bans in the individual states, and so they've snuck it into this continuing resolution. So lots of work ahead for us in that area. How's things going in Texas? I know they had a mighty cohort of folks that banded together there to engage that issue down south. What's the scuttle going on down that way?
I think one of the most impressive things about the hemp ban attempts is, prior to us really entering this fight and bringing the veteran voices to the forefront, they were able to spin the narrative that these are just a bunch of druggies, people who want to get high. And once we got the veteran voices elevated, we saw some movement, and we saw a lot more, our legislators jumping in. We've seen, big news personalities who have jumped in and said, actually, I use this too. You're starting to see people step forward who typically would have stayed quiet. Why would they stay quiet? Because of the mental model that's around using these products. You're going to pop on a drug test, right? So now we've actually opened up the stage for people to come forward and say, actually, this is saving my life, or this is keeping me alive. And rather than lean on alcohol, rather than lean on these SSRIs and antidepressants, I'm able to actually just take some of this product at night, a hemp-derived consumable, or even cannabis, depending on where you live, and I'm able to get the rest that I need, and I'm not, or the pain relief that I need, and so we've opened up the conversation to where we can actually talk about how it's being used to help people. And here in Texas, the way that we've banded together is impressive. VFW is in there, speaking out in front as well. And that historically we would have never expected to see. We've got the Texas Hemp Business Council leading the charge here, and they're doing an amazing job bringing everybody together to have these conversations. So as a team, because of the work that we did, and it's funny because we talk about social media and we talk about how we got the historic veto of SB3 down here in Texas. And one of the things that our generation uses right now in order to get information out is humor. And we're no stranger to that here with the Grunt Foundation, our Irreverent Warriors. But when we were kind of fighting that battle for the SB3, it was really humor that got some of these videos out far and wide. And what it did was it elevated the issue to people who didn't even realize this was happening. People who were just sitting in their homes had no idea that there was an attempt to ban these products that they were using. And so they're seeing these videos come across their feed because people are laughing at them, and they're like, wait a minute. I use these products. I didn't know this was happening. Now I want to get in this fight, And so it was just really interesting to see how, our legislators were, Dan Patrick, right, Lieutenant Governor, was trying to paint this picture of us being a bunch of druggies, and we were able to take his videos and turn them into comedy and get more information out there. And so it backfired on him. And
the internet did well with that that guy gave the internet so much material to work with.
It was a dream. Thank you, Dan Patrick. We love you for that. But
and unfortunately, here we are again, though, and that was good work down there. We had that on various levels in various states. It wasn't just Texas, and we even fought that down to the county level, if you can believe that. We had a county councilwoman, Councilwoman Clancy here in St. Louis County, based carbon copy clone of that same hemp ban, with the exception of the big alcohol companies that own THC-infused beverages. They were exempt from that rule, so I don't know if you can connect the dots there on what's going on, who's behind all this, but enough said on that. We do have other work going on. In fact, we have one of our teammates, Derek Blumke, our veteran impact fellow, is off in D.C. as we speak. Could you tell us a little bit about what he's got going on over there?
He is actually up there for sorry, I'm going to have to pull this one up because I've been trying to keep track of it, but he's up there advocating.
Well, he's there doing a few things. I'll pitch you some softballs because there's a lot going on with Derek in D.C. today. But primarily he's going there. We're offering testimony for the Senate Veterans Oversight Committee meeting tomorrow, the hearing. That I think Senator Moran maybe is called from the SVAC there to explore this issue of over prescriptions and informed consent. That issue that was really kicked off by a piece from the Washington Post, I believe it was, that had written quite a bit about that. And, we were very much working with those reporters as they gathered their information for the story, so working on behind the scenes. But Derek's out there in real time. And in fact, today he's out meeting with Congressman Jack Bergman on a bill that Congressman Bergman has co-introduced and sponsored. And this bill is regarding informed consent. So it is crazy that we have all these classifications of drugs that come with what they call a black box warning. And that's for this particular variety that we're talking about in this advocacy space is these psychotropic pills that have a side effect of an increase in suicidal ideation. And veterans are not being told inside of the VA the potential risks, contraindicators, how this thing plays with other medications they may be on. Sometimes they're on just a crazy number of a pill cocktail, and that's not always looked at as it should. And the veteran is very often not informed as to the potential side effects and consequences that could come along with this class of medication. And you would think, my God, if it's a black box warning, how are these people not being told this? And it is intentional. And my understanding of it is, Derek can speak to this much better than what I can, but as I understand it, the reason that this is not being more aggressively dealt with is they don't want to scare anybody away from taking the pills. So make of that as you will, but that is the crazy reality there that we have. But it's important to raise the awareness on all these types of issues. This work is long and it's hard and it takes money to make this train move. And so with that, I've set you up there, Janae, if you want to kind of direct people on how they can support us here on this Giving Tuesday. Take it away.
We have a lot of work to be done. As you said, we've got battles that are going to be needed to be fought at the federal level now, the battles that we've been fighting at the state level already. And so for this Giving Tuesday, we are asking that you consider Grunt Style Foundation for your contribution. We're asking for just a $350 annual contribution, or that's about $30 a month. Less than $1 a day. And you can do that at gruntstylefoundation.org. We would be very appreciative. And as you could see in that video, we are putting it to good use.
Absolutely. Is there any other way that anyone listening to this video might be able to support our work? Anything else you can think of?
I'm drawing a blank.
Maybe something like purchasing some merch from our
There we go. Bring it up on the screen. That'll help me out. Grunt Style Grunt Style always moves boldly, and they've released the shirt "Fuck Big Pharma." I'm going to say that again. fuck big pharma with a capital F. And so not only will your purchase of this shirt support the foundation and the work that we do, but you're going to be sending a bold statement as you're wearing the shirt. And you're sharing the same statement that the rest of us have, which is fuck big pharma.
All right. Well done. Well done. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can get your very own Fuck Big Pharma t-shirt at gruntstyle.com. Proceeds from the sale of this shirt is coming back to support the work here at the Grunt Style Foundation as we carry on our mission of rejection of the status quo and helping our comrades find their very own path up the mountain. That's what we're trying to do here. Thanks for joining us for this second segment. We will be back again later today in about 30 minutes for part 3, where we're going to be talking about mental health and wellness and everything involving that in the Grunt Style Foundation land. So don't miss it. We're going to be sharing some stories and reminiscing and talking about all the interesting adventures that come along with this very peculiar and strange job that we enjoy. So thank you, Janae. We'll see you folks again on part 3. See you all then.
Thank you.